Hello and welcome to the Facing Your Fears, Turning Fear into Courage. Wow, are we at a place on our planet, especially in our country, where we want to learn a way to deal with the stress, the fear, what would I say, the diversity of feelings and of perspectives of where we're all coming from. And it's so interesting. I just got back from the East Coast where I was in Gettysburg, and I heard a film and it was narrated by Morgan Freeman, and he was talking about the Civil War, and he was talking about how we had a group of people who were worried about the economic situation and were fighting for slavery, and worried about human rights, and we're fighting against slavery. And during this whole thing, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, does anybody see that we're still in that same position? And this was a week ago. And at the end, he said, and today we're facing the same situation. So I'm going to take a deep breath because I'm on the side for human rights, for animal rights, for the rights of the planet and the plants and all of that. And I'm seeing that there may be a force that is looking more for power over revenge, money, the gains of money, monetary gains. And so I want to talk to you about how do we look at the world today and try to make a difference. And the difference starts with our thinking. If we're thinking negative thoughts about people or negative fears or worries or concerns, and we're not doing anything about it, that means we're like rocking in a rocking chair, hoping that we're going somewhere. But if we can come from a place of peace and love and understanding, we might be able to come up with solutions for all the problems that are on our planet right now. And the problems for people in other countries that, they're bombing Ukraine again and Gaza. And it's not just the United States that has the violence. And this podcast I was listening to today was talking about how our brains are so programmed towards any kind of violence, anger, lashing out. We can all be guilty of that. But let's look at what we can do to solve the issues and not to be reined in by news and the frenzy that's being kind of sent over the world right now, the frenzy that's created by this new problem and that new problem and all these horrible things that are going on, and then our hearts beat faster and cortisol's going through our body. And guess what? That's when people can grab power over us because we're in a state of fear. If we're in a state of peace and looking for solutions and a state of love and understanding, we can create a better place. So let's look within ourselves. If there's any conflict within yourself, it's going to be played out on the planet. So the conflict we might be feeling is because we're programmed for anger, we might be making some people bad, some situations bad, and they are painful. I can't ignore that. They are painful situations almost in every corner that we look. But do we want to focus on the pain or focus on solutions? And I hope we get enough of us to focus on solutions so that the planet can be healthier, all people can feel provided for with water and food and shelter, the animals can feel safe, and that our hearts and souls can be more open and free to be exactly who we are. So how do we tell our truth without stepping on other people's toes? I think our truth comes from statements like, I feel, my impression, my information. And I'm telling you, if I look at different news channels, which I don't even have a TV, but I look at on my phone, the news that's coming in, the sources say different things. So what do you think the truth really is? I think we need to go to the truth inside of us. The truth inside of us is saying change needs to occur. There are disruptions going on all over the place. I think we're seeing things fall apart in so many different ways, and we can rebuild a better country, a better way of being, a better planet if we use our hearts and souls. So I'm going to ask you, when you get triggered and you feel that impulse to respond or to feel anger, hatred, whatever it might be. What if you start training your brain to go to a solution, a goal, a positive experience, even a positive memory, if that's what you need to start with? Because if we train our brains to go somewhere besides revenge, anger, hatred, we can have a different planet. It takes a concerted effort to change the way we've thought for generations and thousands, maybe millions of years. The only way humans survive, because we don't have that many protective mechanisms within our being, is that we had to fight. But let's not fight anymore. Let's try to help. Let's try to be the light in the darkness. Let's do our best to show kindness towards one another. And what would we come up with? I think our intentions can have so much power. And I'm starting these groups of 8 where people come together in a group of 8 to create intentions that are healing, are intentions of gratitude, or intentions of better health, or intentions of relationships, so that as we gather together, we can, as a group or as individuals, start affecting the energy of our planet. The energy of our planet needs to change. I think our planet is in bad shape, but it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. I know that there are people creating amazing solutions that if they can get the information out there, we will have water and food and shelter for everyone. It's just if the people in power can step down, which they can't and they won't. So it's we, the people, need to take the power in whatever way that is. Creating solutions, being kind to one another, building our communities, something that creates hope. What if you thought of something that would create hope for you today? What would it be that would instill hope? Try to think of just one thing that would change in your life that would make you feel more hopeful, and then start working towards that one thing. So I think today what we're talking about is taking a world that seems like it's falling apart and finding a creative way to find positive solutions. And it's up to each and every one of us to do it every day in every way we can, in every interaction we have, in every conversation we have, in any social media post that you might post. Let's think of solutions. So we're facing our fears. This is a time to do that, turning fear into courage. And I thank you so much for joining me today.